Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I am going to explore an internet trade that I did with Noah Clemens over at Everyone Who Reads Must Converse. And what I did is I had two copies of Miss Macintosh, My Darling by Marguerite Young. And since I did not need both, and Noah very much wanted a copy of it, I made a trade. Now, if you are not familiar with Miss Macintosh, My Darling, this is one monster of a novel. I have the original first edition hardcover. And as Noah said, this is probably one of the longest novels written by a woman in modern times. My edition is just a little under, 1,998 pages long. And this is about a woman's bus ride to go visit her nanny. So I have not read this yet. I've always wanted to read it, but I have to admit, I am a little intimidated by this book. So maybe now that Noah has a copy, I have a copy. There may be a few other copies here that people have. It would be great to do a group read of this novel, probably sometime in 2022. So that's the book that I gave. If you want to see the paperback copy, all you have to do is drop by Noah's channel and you can see it. Now, that book that I gave Noah sells for a bit on Amazon. I don't believe anyone would actually pay that much money for the book. But there it goes. Now, I got this book at Friends of the Seattle Library sale. And what that means is they give you a paper grocery bag, and you are able to fill that book up with fill up that bag with as many books as you want, and you pay them $10 and you can walk out the door. So I got a great deal on my copy of Miss Macintosh, My Darling, that I sent Noah. And I think it's a great deal because he loves that book. I've seen at least 3 videos featuring that title, so I am glad it's in someone's hands who is going to love it instead of sitting on my shelf where I have 2 copies. Now, we're going to be disturbed. Teddy, you're disturbing the video. This is Teddy the cat. And book videos, I think, are always better with cat interruptions. So the books that I got in trade are as follows. The first book is the Driftglass Trilogy by Rick Harsh. Noah has featured this author a couple times on his channel, most notably the Cactus Boots book, and I can't remember the rest of the title. And so I decided I would give this book a try and this author a try. Now, the main problem with this book is the print. How closely can you see how small that print is? I can barely read this print. So, if I wanted to read this, I got to put on the geek glasses, and I can now make out basically the beginning. And now I'm going to read the disclaimer off the back of this book. The characters in these 3 novels are to a varying degree similar to people I encounter in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Should one of these real people, if they can be so called, wish to come forth, he or she would be an absolute idiot, as the admission that such person as they, say, the cop Targeson, or worse, his partner Stratton, is you, will be subject to such humiliation that no amount of money will ever right the disturbingly intensive and noxious cruise ship of your life. On the other hand, Fat John the masturbator, whose real name was John, and who was grotesquely, not to say Rubenesquely, fat, and indeed liked to masturbate in taxicabs, is described in another novel, one that has not yet been typed into a computer machine. One might also consider the double-edged need to use characters derived from real people in novels that set out to engage in multi-level depictions of the struggle humans engage in as they strive to justify their outsized and terminally blundered evolution, inferiority branded on species so shamed by the simplicity of the exuberant hijinks that an easy adherent to a moral code of monkeys and apes. I get the feeling of what this book might be like. It is considered a series of noir novels, so I will pick this up probably sometime next year or late this year. And also, take a look at the size of this book. It is a very tiny paperback. It's the size of my hand. It's smaller than a mass market paperback. I also picked up Oscar Submerges by Zachary Tanner. Oscar Submerges is the first true sea novel ever set on a Jovian satellite. The interplanetary year is 2193. With the help of massive inheritance, Cletus II of Luna, aspiring kapellmeister, has taken a job as a janitor in an infamous brain health clinic on Europa, ice world that euthanizes and polysexual cyborgs seeking inspiration in an artistic actualization and the objection to be gained from the proximity to end-of-life patients. Cletus soon befriends Oscar, an aged and paper architect who suffers from an endemic neurological disease, aka French maids, which is contracted by those exposed to the bioluminescent blue-green algae native to the subsurface ocean. In a series of increasingly disoriented psychotic episodes, Cletus attempts to ethically navigate the Zoroastrian sexual politics of this kinky new world and learn to love more perfectly before going insane, not understanding that love is the madness madder than the rest. Again, this sounds like a very strange book, and I will try to pick that up. The last book that I got was As the Wolf Howls at My Door by Chandler Brochard. This is an original hardcover published by Dalkey Archive in 1992. I'm just going to read you a little bit from the flap. It's a little too long to read the whole thing. Chandler Brochard's last major work, Wake Up, We're Almost There, has been called indisputably the novel of the 60s, presented in a hallucinatory form that embodies the times better than any work, fiction or nonfiction, written since then. In his new book, Brochard takes on the 70s, a time of despair, as the dreams and ideals of the 60s were crushed in for political opportunism and crass materialism. America's inglorious exit from Vietnam, the increasingly desperate actions of the counterculture, protest groups, and the rise of the repressive CIA operations, and commodified in the American way, all this and more is captured, as in The Wolf Howls at My Doors, in Brochard's immutable style. That style discards realism in favor of free-form fiction that mixes French surrealism and the theatrical absurdity with the beat improvisation and performance art confrontation. Brochard's avalanche of language is outrageous, incongruous diction, insidious non sequiturs, parenthetically funny fallacies, bellowing oxymorons, barking doggerel, breezy colloquialisms, Zen koan-like metaphors, subverted jargon, all making a joyful noise in the variety of genres, picturesque adventures in the radical underground, folksy travelogues, porno fairy tales, suspiciously well-made stories set in the Kennedy's 60s, political testimony, and ending in the dramatic form, the form of the autobiographical play, My Side of the Story by Moby Dick. Well, that should be an interesting read. Well, that is what I got for my trade with Noah. I'm quite happy with it, as I'm sure Noah is very happy with his trade. Thank you for watching, and have a good afternoon.